these are the words of the Aruch Hashulchan. The Aruch Hashulchan was a Rav, he was a rabbi of a synagogue, so he was very in touch with the people of the city and all different types of people, and perhaps that's one reason why he comes out so strong on doing this, because not everyone does it this way. If you're going to be davening the evening service before sunset, which is what he's encouraging, then you should daven the afternoon service before what's called Plag HaMincha. Now, he doesn't talk about that at all. And in cities like St. Louis, the shuls, except for the Chabad, the shuls start at 7 o'clock. We have shuls even here in Chicago. They start at 7 o'clock no matter what, which means they're davening Mincha. They're saying the afternoon service after Plag HaMincha, but they're davening Mar before sunset. Perhaps what he's saying here is that the main thing, the crucial thing Friday, all we're looking for is let's set up a time that will prevent the least amount of Chilul Shabbos, of desecration of the Sabbath, or set up a time that there will be no desecration of Sabbath. And here's the thing. The problem with doing the Plag HaMincha thing is that the times change every week. So, but if you have the same time every single week, it's always 7 o'clock. So then everybody knows, it's in their heads, it's like Shabbos starts 7 o'clock. That's what people think. Really, Shabbos starts 8:30. But in their minds, they think it starts 7 o'clock. Every week it's 7 o'clock. Like, that's the time. It's 7 o'clock. That's when everyone is in synagogue. That's when everyone's in shul. So by making it a set time, it's in terms of Shmir Shabbos, it's actually better to do it that way. In human psychology, it would be better to do it that way. Even once you go ahead and say Shabbos is the main thing, let's forget about Mariv in the proper time, and then certainly the Mincha, before Plag HaMincha, forget about all, let's just focus on Shabbos, Shabbos, Shabbos. If you want to focus just on Shabbos, 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 the best way to do it is have a set time every single week at 7 o'clock. So according to this thought is my own, that thought of the 7 o'clock. I'm using this to be mlamed chus on, because a lot of people have a difficulty. How could you have a 7 o'clock mincha? Grant, you want to daven early, so daven early. Go ahead and have an early prayer service, but make sure at least you do the afternoon services before Plag HaMincha. And then, okay, how can you have a 7 o'clock thing? No, because here's a reason. I'm offering a reason, suggesting a reason perhaps why, not just to allow the 7 o'clock thing, but to encourage everyone to do the 7 o'clock thing. Because at least according to this Aruch Hashulchan, who was a Rav, he was very in touch with what was going on in his community. He said he saw Chilul Shabbos, he saw these things happening, and the name of the game here, this whole thing is Shabbos, Shabbos, Shabbos. That's the name of the game. And if you make that's the main player here, then you set up the times according to what will produce the greatest outcome for Shmir Shabbos. What time? And the best thing, perhaps one could say, is having a set time well before it has to be that accepting the Shabbos comes after Plag HaMincha, but that is happening. That's for sure happening, because Plag HaMincha is before 7 o'clock. But, so here you have a set time. It's always after Plag HaMincha. You're always allowed to be Makabel Shabbos at the time. You could always accept it at that time. And we're going to say the afternoon services, and we're going to do something. It's not really, on one hand, it's not really so good in regards to the prayers, which is rabbinical, but we're not worried about that at all. We can't be worried about that at all. Our focus these days has to completely be on Shabbos. We have to be in touch with what the people of our generation go through. And by making a set time, if all of the shuls, that's the only thing that was available, was 7 o'clock, so then that would lead to less Shmir Shabbos. The only thing to say on this is that if all the shuls, all the synagogues start at 7, then there's another law that Shabbos for that city actually starts at the time the Kehila says it has it starting. So there has to be at least one minyan, one synagogue, one small synagogue that's going to have it starting late towards sunset. So at least, in order for nobody to desecrate the Sabbath, you do need to have one place where there's a late minyan. So this would be malabed zchus. We are finding merit on those that have a late minyan. So they're offering a tremendous service to the whole community, because now there's going to be even less people. Meaning that late minyan should consist of Yarei Shemayim, people who will never be Mechal Shabbos. Have them go to the late minyan, the late services. So now Shabbos starts at sunset. If all of the synagogues would accept Shabbos early, Shabbos no longer starts at sunset. Shabbos starts when the community accepts Shabbos upon themselves. But if there's at least one, even if it's a tiny synagogue with just 10 people, only one which accepts Shabbos right around sunset, a little before sunset, so then Shabbos in that city starts at sunset, and then the rest of the places have their minyanim at 7, so then that would be the best setup to minimize Chil Shabbos. Perhaps one could say that you should just have all three. You have one that keeps the plug in mincha. Another way. One other thought that I had in regards to this is that, so we see from this Aruch Hashulchan, we see that seemingly the purpose of these shofars, of blowing the ram horn, was to inform people and prepare them, tell them to prepare that for Shabbos, and it was to warn them to do that. And then when that became ineffective, so then the system got changed, and the Shliach Tzibur, somebody announced in the synagogue, go home and prepare for Shabbos. Then when that became ineffective, so then they sent someone else out to the marketplace. And now none of these things would work right now. But I just wanted to suggest there is something that might work. Hashem put in our world, everything in the world, we have physicality, and it's a reflection of the spirituality. But we're supposed to learn from physicality. We don't even have to go on to that. Just we can learn from the way the world does things. Learn from the tornado warning. What happens when you have a tornado warning? The cell phones, a lot of the cell phones get these emergency alerts. So perhaps a system could be set up where some type of emergency alert goes out to everybody's cell phone, just like instead of the shofar being blown, an emergency alert which says the exact same things almost like that you would hear in a tornado warning. People stay home, don't go out shopping, it is close to Shabbos. That warning, you might get stuck even if you think you have enough time. Issue some type of a warning, come up with a way to warn people that, I think what the Aruch Hashulchan said is very, very good. He says it's from the Satan that people all of a sudden, right before Shabbos, there's needs that they never thought of before. And it's a real necessity. That's what it feels like. So and there will always appear like there's enough time to do it. And technically there probably is, but you have to prepare for worst case scenarios, and people end up having to walk home, different things like that. So if there would be some type of, if we can do that nowadays, we can. I don't know if there's anybody in a position that is able, I don't know who sends these things out and who does these things, but we don't have any there's no Jew working for the National Weather Service that could, or even be mechalik. You could be on the warnings. You could be mechalik between. You could have the radio go off by this warning and not by that warning. There's something to work with, maybe in the times of the Mashiach, but maybe even before. Maybe there's something that could be done nowadays, which with the cell phones, or a calling post. Why not? A tag, but more like a warning, like a loud beep, something like that. Okay, that's just a thought that I had. Thank you for listening. Have a good night.